Learning more tonight about the investigation and arrest of more than a dozen biker gang members after a 13-month multi-agency investigation in Bryan County. You can see those who have been arrested in the picture here. They are all suspected members of the Outcast Motorcycle Gang, which has national and local chapters.
This morning, gang member roundup. 26 alleged gang members indicted following a series of crimes in the Atlanta area targeting high-profile celebrities like Mariah Carey, Atlanta Falcons player Calvin Ridley, and Real Housewives star Marlo Hampton.
If you thought Fulton was a good county to bring your crime to bring your violence to, you are wrong.
State officials have announced the indictments of 17 alleged gang members for crimes all over Georgia.
Yeah, Barrow County grand jury indicted the defendants last week for crimes in 10 different counties.
The state of Georgia has seen a surge in law enforcement crackdowns on violent gangs, each linked to a range of criminal activities that have plagued the city and its surrounding areas. From the 183 Gangster Bloods and the drug-rich gang to the Outcast Motorcycle Gang, these groups have left a trail of violence and fear in their wake. Through coordinated efforts, including high-profile operations and grand jury indictments, authorities have taken significant steps to dismantle these criminal enterprises, bringing charges against members involved in drug trafficking, armed robbery, and more. This overview highlights some of the most notorious gang activities in the state of Georgia, emphasizing the ongoing battle to reclaim the city streets from these dangerous organizations.
State officials have announced the indictments of 17 alleged gang members for crimes all over Georgia.
Yeah, Barrow County grand jury indicted the defendants last week for crimes in 10 different counties.
Grand jury has indicted more than a dozen people allegedly involved in gang activity in 10 Georgia counties, including Athens, Clarke, Barrow, Chattooga, Fulton, and Gwinnett. The indictments come as part of Operation Dawnfall, an investigation by the GBI's Gang Task Force and the Georgia Department of Corrections. The indictment names 17 people alleged to be members of the gang 18 Trey Gangster Bloods and accuses them of everything from drug sales, two of them linked to this June 2020 arson in Lawrence County. But Carr says one of their most egregious crimes has been recruiting young children by holding seemingly family-friendly events.
They host basketball tournaments and barbecues. They do these types of things for one purpose: to recruit our young people into a life of crime and violence.
The 1-8 Trey Gangster Bloods, a subset of the United Blood Nation, emerged in the mid-1990s in the Bronx, New York, during a time of intense gang activity across the city. Named after 183rd Street, where many of its original members lived, the gang became part of the broader Bloods network that had expanded from Los Angeles to the East Coast, particularly within the prison system and urban neighborhoods. The UBN, founded in 1993 at Rikers Island, quickly spread to the streets, and various local sets, including the 183 Gangster Bloods, were formed. In a news conference at the state capitol Thursday afternoon, Attorney General Chris Carr and Governor Brian Kemp announced the indictments of more than a dozen alleged gang members. In a significant legal crackdown, a Barrow County grand jury has returned a 31-count indictment against 17 alleged members of the 1-8 Trey Gangster Bloods, including charges like drug trafficking and violations of the Georgia Street Terrorism and Prevention Act. Follows an extensive investigation dubbed Operation Dawnfall, led by the Georgia Bureau of Investigation's Gang Task Force and the Georgia Department of Corrections. The charges reveal the depth of criminal activity attributed to the gang, which is said to have operated across 10 Georgia counties, including Fulton, Gwinnett, and Athens, Clarke. According to Attorney General Chris Carr, the indictment alleges that these defendants engaged in a pattern of racketeering activity, aiming to illegally acquire money, weapons, and property to fuel their gang operations. One of the most shocking revelations from the investigation was the gang's use of family-friendly events like basketball tournaments and BBQs to recruit young children into their ranks. GBI Director Mike Register emphasized that these activities were a deliberate strategy to lure minors into a life of crime and violence. Additionally, the indictment highlights how the gang allegedly used social media and music videos to promote their criminal activities. Prosecutors pointed to a YouTube video from June 2019 that featured explicit lyrics glorifying violence and criminal behavior, arguing that such content is relevant evidence in the prosecution of these gang members. Despite some public criticism of using song lyrics in legal cases, authorities assert that when gang members openly broadcast their criminal acts, it becomes a crucial piece of evidence in building their case.
Now, Sandy Springs Police confirming to Channel 2 Action News that they're investigating a break-in at superstar Mariah Carey's house in North Fulton County. We flew News Chopper 2 over that property today. Channel 2 investigative reporter Justin Grace here in the studio.
Yeah, and Justin, this is the type of crime that we've been tracking since last month.
Yeah, Candace, we are talking about criminals intentionally targeting celebrity homes here in Metro Atlanta. Last month, Channel 2's Mark Winnie was the first to report about Sandy Springs Police investigating gangs targeting celebrities, including a Real Housewives star in Sandy Springs. Now we've learned days after our initial report, criminals hit a home owned by Mariah Carey.
This involves many crimes, an ongoing investigation, and high-profile victims. One of them, Marlo Hampton of Real Housewives of Atlanta fame, who told me she watched on her security system as armed, masked men kicked her door down, making a loud boom.
When I heard the boom, when I heard my nephew scream, and I knew that scream was a scream of fear, my heart dropped.
Real Housewives of Atlanta star Marlo Hampton says she's a real crime victim after the attempted burglary of her Sandy Springs home July 1st that police have now told her is tied to other incidents. She said she went to a panic room, called 911. The suspects who kicked her door and fled, possibly because she yelled. Sandy Springs police were there quickly, and she thanks God.
The latest investigation involves the drug-rich gang, and Willis announced today she is formally bringing RICO charges against 26 alleged gang members.
Yeah, that's right. So officials say these alleged gang members primarily targeted athletes and entertainers around Metro Atlanta, using social media to learn what they had and how to break into their home.
If you thought Fulton was a good county to bring your crime to bring your violence to, you are wrong, and you are going to suffer consequences.
Fulton County District Attorney Vonnie Willis on a 94-page indictment spelling out 220 charges against 26 people alleged to be involved with the drug-rich gang.
They use things like prescription bottles and money symbols, and this is in their jewelry and their tattoos, and we see that present here.
Investigators say the gang started in DeKalb County in 2016, but has branched out across Metro Atlanta, committing crimes like shootings, home invasions, and burglaries. Their 16 targets include Atlanta celebrities, athletes, and influencers who all post their possessions on social media.
They're immediately going to closets. They're immediately going to bedrooms. They know where these high-end items are.
This morning, gang member roundup. 26 alleged gang members indicted following a series of crimes in the Atlanta area targeting high-profile celebrities like Mariah Carey, Atlanta Falcons player Calvin Ridley, and Real Housewives star Marlo Hampton. The members allegedly targeting people who displayed their wealth on social media, like Real Housewives star Marlo Hampton, known for showing off designer clothes and handbags.
My thing is shopping.
Mariah Carey's Atlanta area home broken into this summer after posting pictures of herself on vacation. Authorities say this isn't just a celebrity problem. Everyone should be careful when posting on social media.
In a major crackdown on gang activity in Atlanta, a grand jury has indicted 26 individuals allegedly connected to the notorious drug-rich gang. The gang members face a laundry list of charges, including attempted murder, armed robbery, home invasion, kidnapping, and burglary. According to Fulton County District Attorney Vonnie Willis, who revealed the indictment at a press conference, Drug Rich has been targeting celebrities and influencers in the Atlanta area, making them their prime victims over the past 2 years. Among the high-profile victims mentioned in the 94-page indictment are pop icon Mariah Carey, Real Housewives of Atlanta star Marlo Hampton, Atlanta Falcons wide receiver Calvin Ridley, Atlanta United goalkeeper Brad Guzin, and influencer Brittany Mealy. The gang's criminal activities weren't limited to just the rich and famous. They also terrorized everyday residents of Atlanta with carjackings, armed robberies, and even shootings inside homes. One of the most shocking incidents occurred in June when 4 members of Drug Rich allegedly broke into Mariah Carey's mansion in Sandy Springs. Fortunately, she was on vacation at the time, but the suspects reportedly made off with clothing and shoes. Just days later, two masked men reportedly broke into Marlo Hampton's home while she was there with her two young nephews. Thankfully, they were able to hide in a panic room, and the suspects fled without taking anything. The indictment also outlines even more violent crimes committed by the gang, including a July 4th home invasion in which 5 members shot a man inside a Sandy Springs home. Another horrifying incident in October 2021 involved 10 gang members breaking into a home and forcing a young girl out of the shower at gunpoint, threatening to and her mother. At the press conference, Dia Willis emphasized that while most of the defendants are already in custody, a few remain at large. Those in custody will soon face bond hearings, but given the severity of the charges, it's unlikely they'll be granted bail. All 26 individuals have been charged with violating Georgia's RICO Act.
More tonight about the investigation and arrest of more than a dozen biker gang members after a 13-month multi-agency investigation in Bryan County. You can see those who have been arrested in the picture here. They are all suspected members of the Outcast Motorcycle Gang, which has national and local chapters.
This investigation started on June 17th of last year, right here at the Red Roof Inn and Flacco House restaurant here in Richmond Hill, after suspected members of the Outcast Gang were arrested in connection to a shootout with another gang. And what began as arrests led to the uncovering of alleged active gang activity right here in our area.
This gang was a violent gang and they came into Bryan County.
16 alleged members of the Chicago-based Outcast Gang indicted in Bryan County after an 18-month investigation that began with a shootout with a rival gang.
One gang happens to see another gang, and the shooting and this incident and this investigation was all initiated because one gang didn't care for the way the other gang was dressed. They were wearing what they refer to as their colors, in what another group considered to be their territory.
Tonight, a multi-agency investigation leads to the arrest of 16 motorcycle gang members in Bryan County. The arrests and indictments of Outcast Gang members is considered the largest biker gang arrest in the state's history.
We're diving deep into the notorious Outcast Motorcycle Gang, a group that's earned its place among America's most infamous outlaw motorcycle gangs, or one-percenters. Alongside other notorious gangs like the Hells Angels, the Pagans, and the Sin City Disciples, the Outcast Motorcycle Gang has built a reputation for engaging in serious criminal activities, including assault and trafficking in drugs and weapons. Founded in 1967 in Detroit, Michigan, the Outcast Motorcycle Gang quickly expanded, with its second chapter forming in Atlanta, Georgia. Now, with 67 chapters across the country, including key locations in Augusta, Hawkinsville, and Savannah, Georgia, the gang operates with a highly organized structure led by elected officers at both the national and local levels. One of the most shocking incidents involving the Outcast Motorcycle Gang occurred on June 17, 2022, in Richmond Hill, Georgia. The gang members allegedly carried out an armed robbery attempt and a violent shooting at Flacco's House Bar and Grill in the nearby Red Roof Inn on Highway 17. The attack targeted 6 individuals associated with a rival motorcycle club, but it also endangered the lives of innocent civilians in the area, including those at a McDonald's and Arby's. As investigators dug deeper into the case, they uncovered evidence of a year-long conspiracy by the Southeast Georgia chapter of the Outcast Motorcycle Gang to violently assault members of the rival club and forcibly steal their motorcycle vests. This criminal activity spanned multiple jurisdictions across Georgia and even reached into South Carolina and North Carolina. Operation Patronus, a massive 13-month investigation, saw local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies executing over 40 search warrants across multiple counties. The operation led to the seizure of approximately $180,000 in cash, 71 weapons, 2 motorcycles, and 2 cars, striking a significant blow against the gang's operations. The relentless efforts of law enforcement in Atlanta have led to substantial progress in the fight against organized crime. The indictments and operations against gangs like the 183 Gangster Bloods, Drug Rich, MPL, and others represent critical victories in the quest to restore safety and order to the city. While these actions have dealt significant blows to these criminal organizations, the battle is far from over. Continued vigilance and collaboration between local, state, and federal authorities are essential to ensuring that Atlanta's communities can live free from the fear and violence that these gangs have long imposed. The work to dismantle these networks continues, with the hope that it will lead to a safer, more secure future for all residents.